This is Llewellyn Cooper, week 6 assignment and brainstorming topics for my dissertation. First, I want to say thank you for your feedback on last week. I didn't realize that I hadn't done a good job in synchronizing those ideas. So thank you. That's something that I'm definitely going to be paying attention to this week and in the coming weeks. I want to talk about my top 3 ideas that emerged from my brainstorming process. The study aid was really helpful in helping me brainstorm, because I tend to want to organize my ideas before I actually generate them. So I end up like basically killing a lot of ideas, and I definitely don't want that. So I just want to say that was helpful. But my 3 main ideas, 3 main topics that I got from probably about anywhere from 35 to 40, I narrowed it down to 3 basically general topics. The first one is structural and systemic trauma, which deals with mass incarceration, prison industrial complex, healthcare disparities, and medical racism, as well as redlining and housing inequality. Then I went with my what, my how. What do I want to know? Like, what do I want to know as far as facts? How and when did these things happen? What are the statistics and how have they changed? The how would be, how do I show or attempt to show a connection between these occurrences and the psychological state of people in my community? How do I explore and express the psychological state of my research community? And how can I work within HIPAA, assuming that I get to that point, and also IRB to make this study, make this research happen? And then this is a question I put on every one of them, which is, how do ACEs play a role? Because I have a feeling that ACEs is going to be, based on hearing your talk, I have a feeling that ACEs is going to be big in each one of these. So I added that question to each area. Then, when was the tipping point? How do I decide when the tipping point was? Is there a clear turning point in terms of policy, psychology? And how does resilience play a part? Again, in just this topic. Who needs to be involved in terms of participants and people who can kind of translate for me what's going on in the community and what has happened in the community. All right, that's number 1. That was structural and systemic trauma. Let me move this over so I'm looking at the camera. Sorry. All right. Then number 2 is community and personal trauma. That includes police brutality, state-sanctioned violence, black youth, school-to-prison pipelines, and on the personal level, microaggressions and racial gaslighting. So my how question was, how can I get law enforcement and authorities to work with me to get information? Because this is obviously going to be I'm going to feel some pushback, I don't doubt, because it probably feels like I'm coming for their jobs, and that might actually be the case, depending on what my findings are. How does the criminal justice system handle different people differently, assuming that it does? And how can I find evidence to support this? Again, how do ACEs play a role? When did the criminal justice system turn against the community that I'm studying, which I consider to be oppressed people? Who can speak to the psychological and mental effects of oppressive laws and policy, and also oppressive law enforcement? Where can I point what I call my microscope to find the right information? Interviews, studies, history books, articles, legislative records, police reports, statistics. Finally, number 3, the role of the Black church and spirituality in healing. What am I trying to say about the church and the Black church in particular? When did the Black church become the Black church, and why does this matter? Why is there a Black church? And I tried to word this, but basically, and how in parentheses, and does this affect the Black psyche? Who has the authority and the wherewithal to talk about the connection between the Black church and trauma? And of course, how do ACEs play a role? So the 3 questions that I want to ask is, do I decide which topic to choose based on which topic has generated the most information? And I just kind of put a note to myself, I guess I need to be clear on my purpose. Are there ways that I can combine or weave these possibilities, meaning all the different topics, without overreaching or overdoing it? And how can I, in the limited time that I have, narrow this down and begin my research? Those are my 3 questions. Thank you for your time.